All right, what's up, everybody? I'm here today with Adam Doyle, an Australian player who's currently in Adelaide right now training. He has experience NBL and NBL one. RMIT played against his team from Eltham in the preseason. Definitely did some damage to us, but he's going to be able to share some stories about his experiences. So, Adam, appreciate you being here. Can you just share a little bit about yourself, your upbringing, where you're from, things like that?
Yeah, no, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and share my story. I'm from Adelaide, local boy. Been here I've been playing basketball since I was about 8. Just grew up in the junior ranks and probably was playing Div 1 up until about under 14s, and then got dropped to Div 2. It was sort of, do I play Div 1 and play 5 minutes a game, or do I play Div 2 and play lots of minutes a game? And to me, at that time, it was just about playing and improving. So I chose to play Div 2 and played lots of minutes a game, and just kept improving. And then things about under 18s, I left to go to a different club called Forestville, which one of the men's coach there was really good. He I was under 18s, probably wasn't quite ready for the men's league yet, but he saw something in me, and he had me training with the men's league and all that. And I guess it all went from there. I had a good couple of games in the men's league, and then a couple of guys went off to college, and then I found myself in the starting spot probably in year 12. Was I ready for that? Probably not. But I took the opportunity and kept improving from that. And 3 years later, I won 3 championships in a row with Forestville back to back, and had finals MVP one of those years. And after that, the Sixers coach at the time was Marty Clark and Mark Radford. They obviously watched a couple of games and just said, we'd be interested in you to come out to the 36ers as a development player. It was an amazing opportunity. Previously before that, there was a 36ers Academy, where guys would come in, before school and train. So when I was in year 12, I was actually doing the 36ers Academy probably two times a week, I think it was. Came out to the Sixers as just development guy, training. They weren't going too well that year, and at the end of that year, Marty Clark and Mark Radford left, and in came Joey Wright. There was a couple of guys there that were still around that knew Joey, and he came out to 1 or 2 of our games, and he still liked my game and that. So he asked me to be another development player the year after, and it was what I was striving for. After year 12, during year 12, I was sort of thinking, do I want to go to college, or do I want to stay in Adelaide and try and go straight to the NBL? And I had a couple of offers from different colleges, but I didn't think that was quite for me. I thought going straight, trying to go straight to the NBL was what I wanted to do. That's what I put my mind to and worked hard for it. I was development player in 2014. I think was my first year as a development player at Adelaide. I played one or 2 games. There was a blowout and we got on. But the main thing was just training every day, being in the program. You have your weights in the morning and you train straight after. So you're in an adult professional league. I was only 19 or 20. It was really good. And each year I used to go off to Melbourne and play in the Seaball, which is now obviously NBL 1. I used to love that league. It was just it was a tougher league, good competition. I played for Knox Raiders to start off with. Came back at the end of that year. We were playing a college. College came over. We were playing Hartford just as a practice match, and it was on a Friday night. I packed up all my stuff to head back to Adelaide the next day, and that night I blew my ACL. It was a bit of a, it's tough because I was, going back to fight for the last contracted spot at Adelaide. Pretty much blew my knee out the night before. So I came back, obviously it was my last year as a development player, and obviously I did my knee, so I was, I was taken up of my last year as development player as rehab really. So, I missed out on that, but, I got to do all my rehab and all that sort of stuff with Adelaide, which was good. And, I can't thank them enough. Put in all that sort of stuff. So that was really good. And then I guess at the end of my rehab, I came back in about 8.5 months, I think it was, from the time I had my surgery to my first game, which was good. And yeah, I guess after, I think I played with Forestville again, just to sort of get my legs back under me and play. I sort of spoke to the coach, Joey, again afterward, said, want to crack my way into that contract now because my development days were up. He said, I just want to see you, train with us another year to, play after your knee surgery, have that around the men's and, the guys and, just try and build your way back up to where you were. At the time, it was a bit of 50-50. Do I do it? Do I not? Yeah, and I just, I obviously decided to stay with it and became a training player for that year. And I think it was the year afterwards, we came into our exit meetings and I sort of said, look, we're not going to have a spot for you next year. Just with all the rosters, there won't be another contractor's spot, but, I'd like for you to train again. And I sort of said to myself, I can't just keep training. I want to crack that spot and, earn some money and whatnot. I just couldn't do that. So I walked away from that meeting probably ready to get a job somewhere and, just play local league. And then he came back and he said, hey, we're going to China just for a trip to China for the year, for 2 weeks. We'd love for you to come along, So I thought, yeah, I'll go along. Had a really good trip over there, played some really good games. And I think it was one of my local trainings. Once we got back, I was at local training and got had a missed call from Joey when I was training. And I looked at my phone and I thought, shit, this is either a good thing or a bad thing. All this shit running through my head. So I called him back and he said, hey, we're going to offer you our last contracted spot. So that was a big relief after that. It's just signed a 1 year. Had a good, didn't play a lot of minutes that year, but, when I came out, I produced. And so I earned myself another 3 years after that. Signed another 3-year deal with them. Went off to play with Bendigo Braves in the Seaball for in between and then came back. And then my last year I played with Adelaide, not last season, the season before. Then went off to play with Eltham. And then I didn't get re-signed. I was in the mix with a couple of teams, didn't get re-signed with Adelaide, which, I thought was the conversations I had were positive and, I thought I was going to get re-signed, but, it is what it is. It's basketball. Sometimes you don't get a contract. Sometimes you do. So wasn't sure what to do next. Obviously, I was in Melbourne playing with Eltham and, I spoke to Simon Mitchell, who's obviously the coach at Southeast Melbourne. He said, we'd love for you to come train with us, just stay fit, healthy in case, someone gets injured somewhere. But, you can use us to stay in shape and whatnot. And can't thank them enough for giving me that opportunity to come out there and with such a good program. So I did that, and obviously no injuries. I don't want anyone to get injured because I'm, mates with most of those guys. But it didn't quite happen. So now I'm back in Adelaide training with Adelaide again. Just same thing, staying fit, staying ready. There's a new team coming in next year. But yeah, that's about it. Really, it's my story. I haven't never played a state team, never made a state team, never got picked for nothing. Was always told I was too small to play basketball. You're not going to play past men's. And I mean, there's a lot of guys that have probably heard that. And, the only people that won't make it are the people that listen to those guys. So turn it into motivation.
You cut off right now. I can't hear you. You cut off that last part.
Oh, yeah. I think the last part was just that, I got told that I was too small to play basketball. And I guess the people that don't make it, the people that listen to people that listen to the haters and listen to the guys that don't want you to make anything, and but yeah, I guess here I am now, and I've had a good run.
Yeah, that's definitely, inspiring in many ways. The fact that you were never promised anything, but you never gave up, coming back from an injury and making it. It's not always roses for everybody. I know I have friends who personally got signed, out of college, big deals and, big countries. And I know guys who every year is a question mark, but they just never give up for the love of the game. Looking back on your journey, do you wish maybe you had tried the college route and experienced that, or are you happy with the way you did it, just knowing what you know now? Hindsight's always 2020, but sometimes you just look back and you wonder what if.
Yeah, no, yeah, I do that all the time. I sit back and say, do you wish you went to college? Yeah, I mean, I guess in some ways I do wish I went to college and just, experience that and to see what that's like, and I guess be in that 4-year system. But on the other hand, I guess the way you look at it, I did probably 3 years as a development, 2 years of development, 1 year as a training. So I sort of did my college, when you sort of think, obviously I didn't study, but I did, like a college system thing through Adelaide. I was training there for 3 years, and obviously I wasn't playing, but I was playing in the off season. So, I don't regret not going. I don't regret it. I obviously stick to what I did, and I don't regret my decision not to go to college. I thought, now I'm happy with what I did. I'm happy with the decision I made. But yeah, it always, I always think in my head, do you wish you went to college, or where would you be now if you went to college, as to where I am now, sort of thing.
Talk about those years as a development player. It's not like college in the sense you're not going to class, getting a degree, but practicing every day against guys who are older, stronger, faster, better helps. My first 2 years of college, I didn't play much. My point guard in college was an All-American, player of the year in the country, played with the Brooklyn Nets and the Clippers a little bit. So going at him every day in practice made me better than anything else, because I'm literally playing the best player in the country on a daily basis. What was that like, as a development player? How did that help you in your career with your confidence, your basketball ability, and just, your goals in life, knowing that it's not easy, but it's what you have to go through maybe to get to where you want to be?
Yeah, no, it was great. Like I said, I wouldn't have changed it for anything. I guess knowing, the schedule, your weights 3 to 4 days a week, and you're on court 5 days a week. You're basically at a stadium or a gym from 8 a.m. to about 12:31, and then you do some recovery, and then you're home to rest and do it all again the next day. So it was tough and it was taxing on the body, no doubt. But I was young at the time, so I try to take everything in, and it was more of also obviously training against those guys. It was it was really good. It was I was going up against Jerome Randall for 2 or 3 years, which he was probably the best point guard in the league at that time, and matching it with him every day. So I've been up against some good guys and training against some good guys, but also just the knowledge of some of the guys. I think I was at Adelaide with Adam Gibson for about 3 years, and me and him were pretty close, and just trying to pick his brain and pick a lot of the other guys' brains, and to see their IQ, and so it's also learning all that stuff on court and improving that, but also just watching them and off the court and see how they handled it, and see how they were professionals a long time before I was. So just seeing how they go about things, and that really helped me as a person. Even my game now, like I think I have a pretty high IQ on the basketball court, and I've found that over the years from just picking up, watching different people, seeing what they do, picking coaches' brains, and so I guess you learn a lot of things. It's not just improving on the court, you're improving on and off, and just as an all-round person. So that was really good, and I love that. Wouldn't change anything of that.
What was it like, your first time you finally made it to the NBL? We all have our moments we say, I made it. What was it like knowing you signed your first deal, then you finally get to play in your first game? It's one thing to be at training with the guys, but it's another thing to put the jersey on, step out in the court in front of thousands of people. What was that like?
Yeah, it was pretty. So my first game, I think, was when I was a development player. Um, we got to every home game. I think they got to suit up two development players. I suited up one game. We're playing against New Zealand, I think it was, and we're up heaps. And I'm sitting on the end of the bench, and I'm getting a little nervous because I know, like, if we start to block people out, we're going to get put in. There's 6,000-7,000 people here, and this is the first time I've ever played in front of this many people. I heard the coach call my name, ran out there, and I was real nervous. My first, went out on the court. The ball I think it was off a couple of possessions. The ball got swung to me on an open look, and I had the open three, and I shot it, and it looked good, and then it just missed all ring and hit the other side of the backboard, and I was like, shit, damn, like, it can't be going like this. And, one or two possessions later, I got the ball and came down off an on-ball and scored a layup, and that sort of, I guess, that first point sort of put my nerves at ease. And but yeah, once I signed my first contract, knowing I was getting paid, and that first professional contract, do everything like the contract guys do. I guess it was a massive relief, but it was a really good feeling, knowing that all that hard work's paid off. You've got to where you want to, where I wanted to get to. I dreamed about the days of, I guess, when I was younger. I thought, I can't wait I would watch the men's leagues on a Saturday night and say, I wish one day I could play in that. And when I started getting closer to that, I said, I wish I could, make the NBL. And I guess signing that first deal was unreal. And I guess, it's hard to explain in words, really. But, once I had that year and re-signed again for another 3, it was just, that's even, I guess it's hard to say, but it was unreal. And, never take anything like that for granted.
Have you had any other goals? Obviously NBL, what was your first goal? Once you accomplished that, did you have any other desires maybe to play somewhere else? You went to China with, the NBL team, you experienced basketball in a different area. Was that ever something that crossed your mind, maybe go somewhere else and play and experience it? Or has it always been just to stay in the NBL?
No, it has definitely crossed my mind to, go play in, overseas leagues. I guess if I hadn't signed that first contract, I probably would look at going overseas then. But when I signed that deal, I guess I sort of didn't look. Then when I re-signed, halfway through that first year, I sort of knew that I was going to re-sign for, a longer term. The only time I probably really started to look at going overseas was when I didn't get re-signed with Adelaide and, didn't re-sign in the NBL. And I was looking at a couple of places overseas, but I was sort of weighing up, do I want to go overseas and play or stay here and train in case someone get injured? And, the records on the league, people get injured. So I thought, if I'm over there, wherever overseas, and someone gets injured, it's not as easy for me to just jump on a flight and be there the next day. So I was sort of weighing all those options up and decided to obviously stay. And then I guess this year was looking at overseas again, but with all the COVID stuff going on, I guess a lot of jobs have been, there's not as many jobs, but there's also, I guess, a lot of college guys that are probably not going back to their last year at college. So that, there's double the amount of players that are trying to get jobs overseas. And I feel like, some of the overseas, if you don't have a passport or anything like that, it's real tough. And I don't have a passport. So, I'm looking here and there, but I'm not, I guess it's not my main goal is obviously to try and get back into the NBL. And I think by staying here and doing that is the best shot.
Okay. How's your training, in the midst of all this COVID? Obviously, Adelaide's in a better spot than we are here in Melbourne. What's it like training, with all the uncertainty of what's going on? Are guys still, up and at it there, motivating and working out together? Or is it you on your own, just staying ready?
No, I mean, to start off with when all the COVID stuff happened, I guess I didn't touch a basketball for over the first 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, which was good in a way. To sort of rest everything and mentally switch off from that basketball for a bit. I was still obviously staying fit, and then when in Melbourne, I guess Southeast Melbourne, which was I was really lucky. I still got to train with Southeast when they started training, so I was doing Monday, Wednesday, Fridays with them, which was good. And then I guess when I come back to Adelaide, we're doing 5 days on court. But it's all as a team. All the guys that are here, there's still 3 guys in Melbourne that can't get over here. Imports aren't here. Obviously, with all the uncertainty of the league, it's really just here and there, but just some individual training, and it's just good to be able to train and be around some of the guys, and I guess that's really it.
Okay. I mean, that's good you have that. The fact that you have that opportunity and you're here, as you said, you're not overseas, you're here. Anything happens, you'll be ready to go, it sounds like. Switching off from
Yeah, exactly.
NBL towards CBL and NBL 1, what's it like going from being the guy that's on the end of the bench working for that last contract to being, a major role in CBL and NBL 1? You're obviously dropping below NBL standards into a little bit lower division. How's that for you going from, what your spot is on the NBL team to probably being one of the better players on the court night in and night out?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's definitely different in terms of my game. I mean, I don't change it. I just play the way I'd play, if I was out there on the NBL court. But you're definitely right, as in, I was going my last year in the NBL, I started to have probably the last half of the season. I started to have, I was playing a lot. I was playing, 15 to 18 minutes a game, and I was playing really well. So, I guess coming down to NBL 1, I guess the game itself, I find slows down a little bit, which, when you're training with those guys, I guess more opens up on the floor for me. I can see, it's as it slows down, I'm able to read, a lot quicker, a lot easier. But yeah, I guess going to Eltham was one of my challenges that I said to myself, which is why I chose Eltham. I knew Eltham was a team that were in Big V, and they were one of the teams that got moved up to NBL 1. And I sort of thought to myself, what do I want to do next? What do I want to, do I want to just join a team that I've already played for, or, what do I want to do? And I sort of said to myself, Eltham's a team that have come from Big V up to NBL 1. I find this as a challenge. Some guys might think they're not ready to play in this league. They might think they're not up to it. And I took this as a challenge to try and take that team under my wing. Obviously, it's hard as a new guy coming in that, most of those guys have been there for, 5-6 years. So as coming in, just trying to use my experiences, my leadership, all that sort of stuff, my skills to not only, to be a sort of a mentor for some of those guys and bring that team up and show them that, they're good and we can compete. So that was definitely a challenge, and which is why I chose to play there.
Will you be playing with them in the future? Or was that a short thing and now you're uncertain? Or is Eltham like a long-term plan over the next couple of years, alternating between NBL and NBL 1?
I had re-signed to come back to Eltham. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the guy. It was a good team. The coaches were good. I liked the way that we ran. I was a main point of that team. They started to, I guess, build the team around me coming out of it, which was really good. And it was something I was excited to go back to. I was really, raring to go. And obviously with all the COVID stuff happening, I definitely plan on, if if basketball gets up and running next year, with them, I definitely plan on looking at going back there with them. I've enjoyed myself. I made a bit of a home there, and was training a lot of the kids there. So you're doing that community stuff, and had a little bit of a good following there. So I would like to go back there. I guess we just got to wait and see what happens with everything. But I would like to go back and I guess see from there.
Okay. What's your goal, 4 or 5 years from now, once, you start getting to the back half of your career? Do you want to settle down in Melbourne with Alpha maybe and train kids and coach? Do you want to go back to Adelaide? Is that something you even thought about at this point, or are you not even there yet?
No, I guess I have thought about it. I have thought about, in a couple of years' time, what do you want to do, and what do you want to, I guess, accomplish in that. And I think, I'll probably end up coming back here to Adelaide, settling down in Adelaide, and continue. I guess I've got a couple of things in my mind of what I want to do after basketball, but I think I will come back to Adelaide when my time's said and done. So whether that's a couple of years, I'm not sure, but I like to play for as long as I can, as long as my body allows me to, really.
On that one, you get one career, make the most of it. Don't cut it short.
Yeah, once that packs up, and that's the thing. I don't want to stop and get a job that's going to take me out of basketball, because I know once I do that, I'm not going to be able to come back. So just making sure I'm doing everything I can, looking after my body, just trying everything I can. I want to go out on my terms. I don't want to be forced to stop when I don't want to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Last question to you: what's the advice you have for people? Obviously, your story is inspiring. A guy who, you're playing the second division. You didn't have anything special going on. I've only been in Australia for a little bit over a year, but the first thing I heard about was Center of Excellence, and that's where you go when you're good. That's what people strive for. Obviously, in Adelaide, I don't know if you have that or not. I'm not too familiar with the city, but to go from that and then tearing your ACL and still making it to the NBL, what would you pass on to people who have that same dream, especially kids who are not highly ranked coming out of high school, or like you and me, we're both short, we're not the biggest people. What would you say to them?
I guess just keep striving for what you want, and don't let anyone get in the way of that. That was a big thing for me. I was going out and putting in extra hours. There was kids that got stuff handed to them, and I would go out and work. I was getting to school an hour before school, putting up shots, and then I was going home and shooting. And I guess just don't listen to anyone else. Only listen to the people that are around you, or just yourself. You keep striving for what you want, and you'll get that. A big thing for me is you only get out what you put in. So if you're just gonna, roll up to the gym and just shoot a couple of block shots and just muck around, then you're not going to improve for that day. So making sure that each day you get that a little bit better, working on something that you're not good at. Anyone can go to the gym and just do the usual stuff. You're good at that, so you'll keep improving on that. But you also want to pick out the stuff that you're not good at, and work on that just as much, because if you can have lots of different threats, if you can do lots of different moves, or whatever it is, you're going to go a long way. You're going to be tough to guard. So I guess just working at it and working hard, and keep striving for what your goal is. I mean, setting yourself even little goals, setting yourself big goals and little goals. I did a lot of that when I was growing up. A lot of goal setting. Small ones, which, I wanted to achieve every 2 weeks, and then some that I want to achieve in months, and then writing them down and just striving for it, working hard, putting in the hours that, other people aren't going to do.
Yeah. I mean, of all the people I've talked to, of all the people who I know personally, I think yours is one of the best stories I've heard, because, a lot of people all over the world, what they watch on basketball is they watch the NBA, they watch LeBron, they watch Steph Curry. And that's great. You want to emulate the best, but those are also things that are probably not completely unattainable. LeBron James is 6'9", 50 athlete. You know,
Yeah,
since he was born, it was probably known this guy's going to be something special. A guy like you from Adelaide, Division II, never handed anything, making it to NBL. That's something kids can look up to and be like, look, Adam did it. Why can't I? So definitely
exactly.
appreciate everything you said. I mean, it's an inspiration to me as well, just seeing guys who never give up, who don't take no for an answer, whose stubbornness is actually an attribute. You know, people will say you're stubborn, you don't always take it, you know, very well, but for you, it's what made you what you are. And, you know, at your age, you're only getting started. Definitely look forward to seeing what happens. Hoping you'll be on a roster this year and get to watch you play some more.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, fingers crossed for that too, and I'm just going to keep working and keep pushing.
Yeah. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for everything. Best of luck going forward. We'll definitely be watching.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate being able to share my story. And, if you ever need anything, just let me know. Doors always open.
All right. Thank you, man.
No worries.